So Jaya Vijaya being cursed is being described in this chapter. So now in the three verses which we are going to discuss, so the Lord Brahma statement has come into force. So Jaya Vijaya pastime is going on. How come Lord Brahma statement has come into this verse? So the context is that Maitreya Muni and Vidura, so discussion is going on about the pastimes and different activities of the Supreme Lord. So when Maitreya Muni was describing about creation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so Vidura wanted to know further. So he was more inquisitive. So then in that context, Maitreya started explaining that how creation started. Brahma created Swayambhuva Manu. So after Swayambhuva Manu is being created, he and his wife Brahma ordered them to increase the progeny. So after Brahma's blessings, Swayambhuva Muni prays to Lord Brahma and requests him, now order me what is the place of my activities, where I am supposed to do my devotional service. It's a devotional service ordered by Brahma. So then when contemplating where to send him now, creation has to happen on this earth. So Brahma sees that earth is submerged in the water. So then Brahma tries to starts contemplating how to lift that earth from that nether regions of the ocean. So while contemplating that, a form from his nostril comes out. So was Lord Varahadev, who became a gigantic, and that's how the Mother Earth was saved from that. So in that context, Lord Varahadeva was appeared. So then why Lord Varaha had to appear? So that's how this Jaya Vijaya's pastime is being explained by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. So because of two great demons, Hiraṇyākṣa and Hiraṇyākṣa, to kill them, the Lord came in the form of Varaha. And why Hiraṇyākṣa and Hiraṇyākṣa were great demons and why Lord had to come personally? Why Lord has to come? Because we know that, to kill a demon, the Lord need not have to come personally. Vinashaya Dushkata. But whereas for the devotee, so then why Lord came? So then the discussion goes on to the previous life of Hiraṇyākṣa and Hiraṇyākṣa as Jaya and Vijaya. So then when Hiraṇyākṣa, Hiraṇyakashipu, the third verse, it ends with Hiraṇyakashipu and Hiraṇyākṣa entered into the womb of Mother Diti. So when they entered during their birth, entire earth was filled with darkness. All inauspicious omens became visible. So by seeing this, all the demigods became very fearful. What is happening? Suddenly everything became dark. So then they all approach Brahma. Again, they all go to Brahmaji. So Brahma is describing what is the reason for this darkness. What is the reason for these bad omens or bad symptoms which are visible in the world. So while describing that, so far, Brahma is actually describing that. So in this verse, it's like he's concluding his explanation to all the demigods. So in the 33rd verse, in the previous verses, we have seen that, how Kumaras came and Jaya Vijaya offended them. Then Kumaras cursed them. After cursing Jaya Vijaya, they also repent for their action, because they are the doorkeepers of the Supreme Lord and his own abode, Vaikuṇṭha. So then the Lord came, the Lord pacified the Brahmanas, then the Lord pacified Jaya Vijaya, he assured him. So then in this verse it is said that, so the Lord told them that now you go to the material world. Even though you go to the material world, be assured that I'll give you protection. It will be a very small fragrant time period which will be there in the material world. Later you will come back to me. So Lord gave assurance. In spite of the Lord's assurance, now Jaya and Vijaya, so in this verse it is mentioned, the two doorkeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuṇṭha, the abode of the Supreme Lord. In spite, the Lord is personally assuring, don't worry, like in the previous verses it is mentioned, that the Lord said to his attendants Jaya and Vijaya, Depart this place, but fear not. All glories unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. This departure from Vaikuṇṭha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, because Jaya and Vijaya had offended Mother Lakshmi also. Once, when the Lord was sleeping, Mother had gone out. When she came back, they dared to stop Mother Lakshmi also from entering into Vaikuṇṭha. So it was foretold by Lakshmi also. In that way, it's all a coincidence. That's why the Lord is saying, be assured, fear not. So it's all plan of the Lord. As per the will of the providence, it's happening. Then the Lord is assuring. The Lord assured the two Vaikuṇṭha inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas, and within a very short time return to me. So Lord has assured it will be a very short time, even though the Lord gave them the option. Either you can take 7 births in the form of my devotees, or 3 births in the form of enemies in the material world. But again, it's again a Lord's plan only, that they also just said, no, we cannot be living so long without your association. So we also just want to come back as early as possible. So they themselves chose that option. So now they are becoming morose, and they fell from Vaikuṇṭha. So it's also mentioned what all happened. A brief description is given that when they were falling from the Vaikuṇṭha, so the demigods in the different planets, those who were sitting in their splendid aeroplanes, they're able to see. And when they saw Jaya Vijaya falling down, what did they do actually? Ahakara mahanasid. Ahakara means there was a great roar of disappointment. When something wrong is happening, say suppose we are going, suddenly bus falls or accident happens, what happens? We start shouting. That time we don't know what we are doing actually. Out of fear, out of disappointment, or even some near and dear ones when they pass away, that too we receive a surprise news. Not expected. In the old age, if someone dies, okay, Dadaji umar ho gaye the, koi baat nahi. But when we hear someone like my own brother who was very young, he passed away. So we become disappointed. So like the demigods, when they see Jaya and Vijaya falling down from the Lord's abode, from the Vaikuṇṭha, so there was a great roar of disappointment seeing that Jaya and Vijaya are falling down. So this indicates that Jaya and Vijaya's fall down and any other ordinary jivas fall down from the spiritual world is not the same. Fall down is fall down. What is the difference between the fall down? But when a Lord's associate taking part in the Lord's master plan, they become characters of the Lord's plan and they fall down. And living entities, because of their misuse of their own independence, free will falling down is completely different. So generally we living entities or any other ordinary jivas, when they fall down, there is a procedure how they first vimukha chetasa, a living entity becomes, he turns his attention away from the Lord. He wants to enjoy independent of the Lord. So then it is mentioned in different places in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes either he takes birth as Brahmā or any of the powerful demigods or one of the residents of Brahmaloka. Then to some other living entities. Finally they came to this material world as ordinary living entities, as mortal beings. But Jaya and Vijaya, their falling down was completely different. Why? Because it was the Lord's plan, one reason. Second, they were the personal associates of the Lord. How can someone expect the personal associates to fall down? How it is different actually? Just like we hear sometimes there is a fight between two big groups, two gundas or dacoits. So we hear, when a powerful person is being killed, so lot of follow-up articles will come. How the other gang was plotting for so many months. They were waiting, they were observing his movements, everything, they plotted carefully. Finally, they killed him. So they are also plotting, they are also doing lot of endeavor, master planning, everything is going on. But whereas, similarly, Indian army, They have a special wing, commando wing. So they also plan for years together. Some of the army men, the very capable and confident army men, are sent to even some enemy countries. They stay there in incognito, posing themselves as one of the resident or citizen of that country. They stay for years together. They observe everything, and they finally decide, okay, well, we are going to do some operation here now, like surgical strike or any other strikes as such. So here, these two, the goons, the rowdies are also planning. Similarly, Indian army is also planning. They are also going and killing someone. Here also, the person is going and killing someone. But activities wise, one activity is being condemned, is punished, and the other one is glorified and is being rewarded. So when ordinary jiva falls down, it is because of his misfortune, because of the misuse of the free will, independence. It's a condemnation. Nothing to glorify in that. But whereas the Lord's associates, when they fall down, generally it is said, Yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Once being gone there, one will never fall down. But for so many reasons, different reasons, either because of the master plan of the Lord or because of our misuse of independence, jiva still will fall down. That will come to that, what Prabhupada actually states regarding the falling of the jivas from the spiritual world. So the activity may look similar, falling down, but the purpose, the intention behind these two activities is completely different. Similarly, whenever a powerful living being or when the associate of the Lord, when he falls down, it is not like that. Like in the 20th chapter of the same third canto, so the Brahma is falling down. Brahmaji, when he was creating, so he saw, what kind of progenies have created. He became disgusted with his own created progenies. When they started chasing him, the sons Rudra created. So then what did the Lord suggest to Brahma? You give up this body. He became disgusted with his own activity, his own body. So then he gave up his body. Means what did actually Brahma do? So Prabhupada there in the Purport quotes Sridhar Swami's commentary on that particular pastime. Sridhar Swami says, Brahmaji, a living entities, those who are in the higher planets, when we go further higher and higher, there the gross things becomes very, very minimum. There predominantly it is subtle. So Brahmaji, it was his just thought. One occasion was when he became disgusted with his sons. Another occasion when he fell in love with his own daughter Saraswati. So that time also even his sons, including Narada Muni, criticizes Lord Brahma. My dear father, what kind of example you are setting for us? You are running behind your own daughter. What we will learn from you then? So then Brahma became disgusted again. That time also he gave up his body. So what is the meaning of Brahmaji giving up his body? So there it was subtle. So the thought, just the thought of creating those living entities or thought of going behind his daughter, that was contaminated. So Brahmaji gave that thought. That indicates Brahma gave up his body. So that's what Prabhupada mentions in the Purport, quoting Sridhar Swami's quotation, that Brahma just gave up his that contaminated thought, contaminated thinking process. That's how he gave up his body. But whereas when we want to really understand that giving up body means, we know finishing of this gross body. So that's not the case with respect to higher living beings. That's why when we hear these pastimes about great personalities, associates of the Lord, or beings from the higher planetary systems, we have to understand from a different perspective, not from our own perspective. Because we have limited, we can understand what we have experienced, but there are so many things beyond our experience. Those things have to be understood from that context. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, the Lord's different activities are being explained. So in that, one of the activity or pastime described is about Aghasura. Aghasura was a powerful demon. He was so powerful that even the demigods every day would be terrified and thinking of how to kill him. Every day Srimad Bhagavatam says they were drinking nectar every day purposefully so that they can become strong and they can attack and kill Aghasura, but still they could not do so. And even they were not even dare to attack him, forget about defeating him or killing him. So then Aghasura Kamsa sends him to Vrindavan. He comes in the form of a serpent. He wide opens his mouth, so that entire mouth and his body looks like a big cave. So we have heard that story where all the Gopas, they go inside. Finally Krishna comes and kills Aghasura. So an interesting part is that after killing, what happened actually? So that is again related to this living entities falling down and their liberation. What actually happens? So there in that purport, from the translation, from the gigantic python, a glaring effulgence came out, illuminating all directions, and stayed individually in the sky until Krishna came out from the corpse's mouth. Then as all the demigods looked on, this effulgence entered into the Krishna's body. Why it is interesting to discuss this is that the glaring effulgence came out of the Aghasura, Python's body, and stayed individually in the sky until Krishna came out from the corpse's mouth. So generally in the Purport, Prabhupada further mentions, generally when the effulgence comes out, that means that the living entity is coming out. It is not visible to any gross eyes as such. No one can see. But how is that, it stayed individually in the sky until Krishna came. In that sense, everyone were able to see. It stayed. It's not like, just appeared and went and merged with the Krishna's body. So the Purport Prabhupada mentions, what is the reason for this? Apparently, the serpent named Aghasura, because of having received the association with Krishna, attained mukti by entering Krishna's body. Entering the body of Krishna is called Sayujya Mukti. That's merging into the impersonal aspect. That's impersonal liberation. But later verses prove that Aghasura, like Dantavakra and others, received Sarupya Mukti. Not just Sayujya, he received Sarupya Mukti because it stayed. Then until Krishna came out of the mouth of Aghasura, after Krishna came out, that went and merged into Krishna's effulgence. So, like Aghasura also, like Dantavakra and others, received Sarupya Mukti. This has been broadly described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur with references from Vaishnava Toshini of Srila Jiva Goswami. Then further, the effulgence came out from the python's body and became purified, attaining spiritual Shuddha Sattva, freedom from material contamination, because Krishna had stayed within the serpent's body even after serpent's death. One may doubt that such a demon full of mischievous activities could attain liberation of Sarupya or Sayujya. Sayujya is still okay, but Sarupya, the form same as that of the Lord, same Rupa. How can he attain that? We have heard that many pastimes where Kamsa also went and merged. Kamsa's the living spark also came out and went and merged into Krishna's body. But how come he attained Sarupya? And one may be astonished about this. But Krishna is so kind that in order to drive away such doubts, he had the effulgence, the individual life of the python, wait for some time in its individuality in the presence of all the demigods. Just to prove them that just because Aghasura came in contact with Krishna, the lotus feet of Lord Krishna personally touched Aghasura's body. So because of that, he became eligible to obtain that Sarupya liberation. And Krishna just didn't wanted to give him that benediction. He wanted to prove to the demigods also. That's why he enacted this pastime of where he stays for some time, then goes and merges into the body of Krishna. And every living being is part and parcel of that effulgence. As proved here, the effulgence in every living being is individual. For some time, the effulgence remained outside the demon's body individually and did not mix with the whole effulgence, the Brahma Jyoti. The Brahman effulgence is not visible to material eyes. But to prove that every living being is individual, Krishna had this individual effulgence stay outside the demon's body for some time for everyone to see. Then Krishna proved that anyone killed by him attains liberation, whether Sayujya, Sarupya, Samipya, or whatever. Prabhupada mentions not only Sarupya, Samipya, or Sayujya, or whatever. Anyone killed by Krishna will definitely attain liberation. Then, in the same purport, towards the end, Prabhupada mentions that in 2 or 3 places in Bhagavatam, this has been confirmed that Aghasura attained Sarupya Mukti. Not just here, other places also it is mentioned that Aghasura attained Sarupya Mukti. One may then argue, how is that he mixed with the Brahman effulgence? The answer is that Jaya and Vijaya, after 3 births, again attained Sarupya Mukti and association with the Lord. Aghasura received similar liberation. So the relationship is that here it is mentioned, Jaya and Vijaya also, after their 3 births as Hiraṇyākṣa, Hiraṇyākṣa, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and Shishupal and Dantavakra. So after their 3 births, they came back and they attained their original position as Jaya Vijaya, and in the Sarupya liberation, in the Sarupya Mukti, the form same as that of the Supreme Lord. When we go to any South Indian temples, we see Jaya and Vijaya standing as the doorkeepers. We see they are having 4 hands, they are having Shankha Chakra, Gada Padma. Sometimes we see some extra teeth also, but some temples we also see them as a beautiful human-like body. So that shows that, they are as looking as the Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuṇṭha planets. So just here, why it's important is that, Jaya Vijaya's fall down is not just ordinary. It was the Lord's plan. And if it was ordinary, they had to struggle in the material world for so many lifetimes or maybe perpetually, like it happens with other living entities. That's why it is said that, when did Jiva fall down to this world, or for how long it is there in this material world? Generally a term used is time immemorial. Immemorial means something which is not in our memory, something which we cannot trace out. That means living entities being caught in this material world from so many millions and millions of lifetimes. We don't know. We don't know means that is not traceable as according to our capacity. That's why it is mentioned time immemorial. So, but Jaya Vijaya's fall down is not like that. It was all like in the drama, the director decides which scene should come first, second, third, what should be the ending, climax, how it should happen. Everything he perfectly in his mind he prepares, then he makes a script, then he is given to the artist, then artist will play. Similarly, here also, Jaya Vijaya's falling down was like completely scripted. There are different reasons to prove that even the Lord's associates also, the personal associates, those who are in the Sarupya liberation also may fall down, may come under the contact of Rajoguna, even though Vaikuṇṭha is free from 3 gunas. So it is to prove that, so different reasons are there why Jaya Vijaya fall down. So to understand Jaya Vijaya's fall down, Brahmaji that's why is carefully describing each event to the demigods to make them understand that, this entire pastime is Lord's mercy towards his devotees. Lord wanted to engage in particular pastime, and he wants only his associates to participate in those, qualified associates to participate in those. So now, coming to Jiva's falling down from the spiritual world, like in the 35th verse, Prabhupada mentions, Lord Brahma continued, those 2 principal doorkeepers of personality of Godhead are now entered the womb of Diti, the powerful semena of Kaśyapa Muni having covered them. So Jaya and Vijaya in the form of Hiraṇyākṣipu and Hiraṇyākṣa, they through the semen of Kaśyapa Muni entered into the womb of Mother Diti. So here it is mentioned, powerful semena of Kaśyapa Muni covered them. That means living entities, they are individual, but now they are covered by Kaśyapa Muni semena. So that Prabhupada in the purport mentions what that actually means, that here a clear proof of how a living entity coming originally from Vaikuṇṭhaloka is encaged in material elements. The living entity takes shelter within the semena of father, which is injected within the womb of a mother, and with the help of the mother's emulsified ovum, the living entity grows a particular type of body. In this connection, it is to be remembered that Mind of Kaśyapa was not in order when he conceived the two sons. So we know that in the previous chapters we have read, mother, Diti. So she forces Kaśyapa. Initially, Kaśyapa he gives all good advice to his wife, but somehow he also became prey to her request. He also could not properly resist her. So then both of them got engaged. So that is the indication that Kaśyapa was not in a right frame of mind. So because of that, what happened? Therefore, he discharge was simultaneously extremely powerful because he's a great sage. It was because of that it was extremely powerful, but also mixed with the quality of anger. So it was mixed with the quality of passion and ignorance. Anger is a symptom of passion and ignorance. Kama yesha, krodha yesha, rajoguna samudbhavaha. Krishna tells in 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So this was not just a regular Garbhadhana Sanskara process. So Prabhupada here, he narrates about importance of Garbhadhana Sanskara. If the father, his consciousness is not in right frame of mind at the time of conceiving, then these kind of demons, Hiraṇyākṣapu and Hiraṇyākṣa, will be born. No one can expect a saintly son. That's the reason Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if I am sure that the offsprings which in case if I get into a grahastha life, the sons or daughters will be born, if they are pure devotees, then I don't mind getting married and producing thousands of children. But I am not sure. And the other way, that's why he remained Naishtika Brahmachari throughout his life. That means that, how Vedic process sanskara is very important. A moment inattention. Kaśyapa is a great saintly person. He is the father of all the demigods. Demigods like Indra. He is the father of Garudadev. All great saintly persons are also born from same Kaśyapa. Maybe through a different mother, of course. But father is same. But here the same father, he is the cause of great demons' birth into this world, just because at that time his consciousness was not properly maintained. So the entire conception is about a devotee's consciousness. Any activity when we are doing, how we should maintain, especially in the case of grahasthas, a Garbhadhana Sanskar. So Prabhupada, about how jivas fall down from the spiritual world. So it's a $1 million question, right? One place we hear that, jivas will never fall down. Yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Once upon reaching there, one will never return. Many other places also it is mentioned. Vaikuṇṭha means Vigatakunṭha. There are no miseries. Once you are gone, there is no birth and death. Then how come jiva falls down? So Prabhupada, couple of places, because it's a frequently asked question like FAQ. So many devotees would ask either in the conversations, morning walk conversation, or through letters, or after bhagavatam class. So couple of places Prabhupada has clarified. So one place in a letter Prabhupada is clarifying. Constitutionally, Prabhupada is saying in one letter, every living entity, even if he is in the Vaikuṇṭhaloka, the personal spiritual abode of the Lord, has a chance of falling down. Therefore, the living entity is called marginal energy. Those who never fall down are called as spiritual energy or Lord's internal potencies. So, living entities are called as marginal energy because they may fall down. They are prone to fall down. Chances are there, but further Prabhupada mentions, usually, first Prabhupada mentioned constitutionally. Constitutionally, yes, it is possible. It's not that no one can say jivas will never fall down. But usually, anyone who has developed his relationship with the Krishna does not fall down in any circumstances. But because the independence is always there, the soul may fall down from any position or any relationship by misuse of his independence. So one may be, if someone is born in a very good family, great aristocratic family where father, mother are devotees. So naturally it is expected that the son should become a devotee. He has no struggle for basic needs, food, shelter, clothing. He need not have to think about that, and he need not have to think about parents will oppose for my practicing bhakti because they themselves are devotees. So the all circumstances are very favorable for to become a devotee. But in spite of that, that independence is there, whether he will become a devotee or he will become a ordinary karmi. That option is there. That's what Prabhupada mentions. Anyone who has developed his relationship with Krishna does not fall down in any circumstance. But because the independence is always there, the soul may fall down from any position, like Jaya Vijaya, associates of the Lord, or any relationship by misuse of his independence. So in another letter, Prabhupada further gave some insights. We are always with Krishna, where Krishna is not present. Prabhupada is giving another insight, another angle to Jiva's falling down. So, like it is said, Yadgatvan anivartante tadhama paramam mama. Having once a devotee comes to me, he will never leave. Or in the previous letter also, Prabhupada has mentioned that one who has developed relationship with Krishna does not fall down in any circumstance. So this statement, this also proves always right. Why? That Prabhupada is giving another insight, another explanation to this statement. A jiva, one who goes to Vaikuṇṭha, always stays with Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying, we are always with Krishna. Where is Krishna not present? He is there even in the material world also. So that means we are always there with Krishna. Never a time arises when a jiva is without Krishna. So either in spiritual world or in material world. Only thing is that in spiritual world we are able to see Krishna and relish his relationship. Here we are put a thick brick wall, insulated wall, soundproof wall, where super soul is dictating and we are not able to hear. So where Krishna is not present, but when we forget this fact, we are far, far away from him. In the Ishopanishad it is clearly stated, Tadhure tadvi antike. He is very far away, but he is very near as well. He is just sitting next to us. Ishwaram sarva bhutanam riddheshi arjuna tishtati. He is sitting next to the soul in the heart region. But he is so near, but he is so far. Why? Because that's what is mentioned. Tadhure tadvi antike. Dhure is very far, but he is very near also. It can take place at any moment. So this forgetfulness is our fall down. Fall down means forgetfulness of Krishna. So it can take place at any moment, and we can counteract this forgetfulness immediately by raising the platform of Krishna consciousness. So the moment we forget Krishna, we are away from Krishna. Then how we can counteract? Immediately, the moment we get a glimpse, oh no, this is not my original position, this is not my constitutional position, I am servant of Krishna. The moment a jiva remembers this, then immediately he can rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness by regular practice. So then when lot of back and forth arguments were going on, at one place Prabhupada says, don't figure it out, but get out. How jiva came to this word? Prabhupada uses this very good sentence. Don't figure it out. Don't try breaking your head into how it came. Just get out of this word. What you will achieve by after full research, you come to know how jiva falls down, technical details, where first he came into Brahmā, then demigods, then other blah 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 blah. What you will do? You get out. Just like that story of one Pandita, he rides onto a boat. So he asked that boatman, do you know Vedanta? Do you know this? Do you know the astronomy? All these things. He tells your life is waste. He tells first 25% waste, 50% waste, 75% waste. By then he has stopped. Then some hole, because of the hole in the water started coming inside and it started sinking. Then boatman asked, dear Panditji, do you know swimming? No. Then your 100% life is waste. Okay, you know everything else, but if you at least don't come to the realization that Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha, if you don't come to this understanding, then what is the use? That's why Prabhupada says, don't figure it out, just get out. And Prabhupada also gave another analogy of a crow sitting on a branch of a tree. So the moment the crow came there, one fruit falls from that branch. So different philosophers are saying, no, it's because the crow came and sat, that fruit fell. Another fellow said, no, 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 the fruit was about to fall. By seeing that, crow became disturbed, afraid, and it flew away. A third one said, no, 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 it's not that. The branch was very loose. It was almost about to fall down. The crow came, accidentally it fell down. Fourth one said, no, no, the fruit was ripened. So many arguments were coming out. So in that context, Prabhupada quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is the use of this dry speculation? It's all speculation only. No one knows what is the actual reason. And even if someone gets to know the actual reason, what is going to achieve? Recently, in one of the class, Amita Samprabhu narrated that story of a dog chasing the cars. You have heard that story? So two valet type persons were sitting in a chai katadi in a highway, nearby highway. So they were observing that, whenever a car moves fastly, when dog was there, it would run behind the car. Generally it happens. So it would run. So these two started discussing. It will run up to one point, stops there, come back and sits in near that chai in the tea shop. Again, when another one vehicle comes, it will again run away, and again it will, after some distance, it will run away and come back and sit there. They were thinking, if this dog, one person started telling, if this dog runs at this speed, definitely it will be able to catch the car. He said, no, another speed. It should increase its speed. Third fellow said, Arey Baba, even if it increases, catch up that car by a great run, what is the use? What it is going to achieve? And it's also doing useless activity, and you people are sitting and discussing some another useless activity. There is no use of that. It's a purposeless activity. So Prabhupada quotes one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that Yat chaktavyo vadatam vadinam vai vivhada samvada bhuvo bhavanti kurvanti chaisham muhuratma moham tasmai namonanta gunaya bhumne. So here in this verse it is mentioned vivhada samhada. Vivada means arguments, samvada means conversations. So in the prayer, it's a prayer offered to the Supreme Lord. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited transcendental qualities, acting within the course of the hearts of all philosophers, who propagates various views. How Tarka apratishta smutayo vibhinna. A Muni is not a Muni unless he differs from other Muni. That's what a statement from the Vedic literature sphere. That's how this samvada, tarka, all these things come rise. So they always want to put some other view, insight into one particular Vedic statement and try to prove that how they are right. That's what generally Munis or some saintly persons they do. So the power of that argument or tarka, where it is from coming? It is coming from acting within the course of the hearts of all philosophers, who propagates various views. It is Supreme Lord only who is giving the different views in their hearts, or arising those different views in their hearts. Acting within the course of the hearts of all philosophers, who propagate various views, he makes them forget their own souls while sometimes agreeing and sometimes disagreeing among themselves. That is Vivada Samvada. Sometimes agreeing, sometimes disagreeing. Thus, he creates within this material world a situation in which they are unable to come to a conclusion. I offer my obeisances unto him. So it's again Lord's illusory energy only, which puts them into that kind of a position where they forget about a soul, forget about real welfare of the soul. They are engaged in vada vivada. They are engaged in some discussions. Sometimes someone will agree, someone will disagree. Then what is the use of those kind of discussions? So, but whereas the Supreme Lord only is making them do that. In case if a devotee with all pure intention, with all pure heart, if he surrenders and prays to the Supreme Lord for the devotional service, then the Lord will immediately give that intelligence to that devotee so that he can come out of all this ignorance and surrender unto him. Matta srutir gnana mapohanamcha. He is the one who is giving intelligence. That is intelligence to who? Devotees as well as to non-devotees both. Someone may accept or may not accept, but it is the Supreme Lord who is actually giving intelligence, who is controlling all their activities. So when we are already under his control, why not fully surrender? Why not just come under his subjugation, follow his instructions and just make this life successful instead of trying to figure it out. Just let us get out. With this, I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.